So we will be starting in 1 minute. Dear all, good morning. A very warm welcome to our event, Youth Participation and Inclusion, also after the Year of the Youth. My name is Mervi, Heinaro, and I work as the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development, Sports and Culture in the city of Espoo, and I'm happy to be your host for today. It's great to see all of you present here in Brussels today and online around Europe. 2022 is the European Year of the Youth. And as the year is drawing to its end, we wanted to invite this event together to share some of the great practices and learnings from our accents in cities. The city of Espoo had the pleasure of hosting the Eurocities annual conference in June. As we were building this future-oriented conference, we wanted to find a way to include the future of Europe, the youth, in this high-level meeting of European mayors and the EU leaders. We developed the Future Mentors program, where young people mentored their local mayors in their home city. And they talked about the fears, the hopes, and the dreams they have for the future. 26 cities participated in the program locally and sent their young mentors to meet with their European peers in Espoo. And today we will hear more about the Future Mentors program and its impact. And we also have the Future Mentors themselves here to share their ideas on the future of the cities in a panel discussion. Today is not only about the Future Mentors, it's about youth participation and inclusion in general. We invited the European Commission to share the key learnings about the European Year of the Youth with us. And as Eurocities is the network and platform uniting more than 200 European cities, 205, André said. And we will hear from Eurocities what's the network's role in encouraging youth participation in cities. We have also invited 2 cities which are very actively and ambitiously developing their youth participation opportunities to share their best practices. So welcome colleagues from Ghent and Eindhoven. So this is the program for today. I hope you will enjoy and learn something new. We will take questions after the presentations, time allowing. And we will have an opportunity, actually, unfortunately, we have no possibility to hear you who are participating online, but please use the chat box to share your questions. And as you might guess, this presentation and today's program will also be recorded for your reference. So now I have the pleasure of inviting the Espoo City Mayor Jukka Mäkelä to share the opening remarks of the event. So please welcome Jukka.
Thank you, Mervi. It's very nice to see you all here. Dear guests, dear future mentors. It is great to see you all here in Brussels and online. The European Year of Youth has provided us with the important message of youth inclusion and participation. Also, cities have used this theme year to exchange the best practices, to reflect on our ways of involving the future generations in our work and to develop new practices and structures. In Espoo, we developed the Future Mentors program, of which you'll hear more in this event. This spring, I had a privilege to be mentored by 4 young mentors. One of the young mentors is here, and very nice to see him also here in my city. Having a dialogue with them has been different from my daily work and has been an interesting and meaningful journey. Youth participation is an important value in Espoo and in any future-proof city. If the youth is not involved and invested in the future of their home city, does the city have a future at all? The youth today are the taxpayers, decision makers, and urban listeners of tomorrow. They will live with the actions and inactions of today's decision makers. Investing in youth is like putting money to the bank. It's preventive and empowering. We have an active youth council in Espoo. I have to say, very active, where 40 young people convene every month to discuss and improve our city. Last year, almost 8,000 young people voted on its election. Next, some examples of youth council's work. In 2020, we started giving free contraception to everyone under the age of 20, thanks to the council's initiative. Thanks to the youth council's initiative, the recycling possibilities in schools are now much better. The youth council has representatives in city executive board, city council, and all city committees. The elected representatives can attend meetings, present initiatives, and express young people's opinions on the issues discussed. The position of trust is about concrete and practical advocacy work. Youth Council membership leads to active citizenship and understanding on how to make an impact on your surroundings. Many Youth Council alumni even have impressive careers in national politics. The politicians, the Youth Council is the most visible youth participation forum in Espoo, but it's definitely not the only one. For example, our participatory budgeting system for young people called Moneymeetti offers an easy way to the 7th to 9th graders to change their local surroundings. Last year, our 13 and 19-year-old young people voted on ideas which were developed by the young people in our city. We have organized land parties, concerts, and built an escape room concept for youth centers based on this process over the years. We have created infrastructure like charging stations and graffiti walls. We have taken the youth services and activities to areas where the public transportation connections are weaker. In Espoo, we have 19 youth centers and digital youth channel in Discord. We are currently building a participatory model for the local youth to better influence the activities offered at the youth centers. We have structures and forums for youth participation in Espoo, but of course we have also challenges. How to communicate to the youth the participation is worthwhile and that they can have an impact on their surroundings. How to bridge the gap between the youth that wants to see change now and the city organization that is not quickest entity to move. The Future Mentors program has been Espoo's contribution to inspire the Eurocities network with the youth participation team. All the material for running the program on local level is available online, and I'm hoping many more cities will use this opportunity to create meaningful dialogue between the youth and the decision makers locally. I'm looking forward to the panel discussion in today's program with the young future mentors to hear what you think are the building blocks of the future-proof city. Thank you for your attention. Enjoy the seminar.
Thank you very much, Jukka. Even I learned a lot what we do in Espoo. So now we are moving from the city level to the European level. I would like to congratulate the European Commission for the great choice of a theme year for this year, the European Year of the Youth in 2022. The year has been coordinated from the DG Education, Youth, Sport and Culture, and Ms. Karen Vandeweghe, Deputy Head of Unit for Youth, Volunteer Solidarity and Traineeship Office, has kindly agreed to share with us the key learnings of the theme year. So welcome to the stage, Karen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to address you here today, because it's great to see that this event is taking place around European Year of Youth, which is entering its last month. And since its conception, the year is about putting young people at the center stage and increasing their participation, listening to what they have to say, and also acting upon it. And these efforts are guided by the 4 objectives of the year. So these objectives are: first, to make young people aware of the opportunities provided by the green and digital transitions. Second is to help our young people to become more engaged and active citizens. Third is to make them aware of the opportunities available at all levels. And fourth is to mainstream a youth dimension into all policy making. And to achieve these objectives, the Commission has aimed at implementing the year at different levels. So not only European level, but also national, regional, and local level. So we have worked very closely with the national coordinators of the year, because each member state had to appoint a national coordinator. We also have worked closely with regional and local authorities, cities, youth organizations, NGOs, schools, and international networks, kind of mobilizing everyone to reach out to young people and to engage them in a variety of initiatives. And at Commission level, we have set up a Europe-wide communication campaign, mainly targeting young people through our social media tools. And we see that the outreach to young people through our social media was enormous. So we've reached millions of young people via our channels. We have also partnered with cultural festivals during the summer. We have worked with influencers across the European countries. And so the year has generated a certain mobilization across Europe. And on the European Year of Youth page on the European Youth Portal, which is the main communication hub of the year, stakeholders, member states, they could all kind of upload activities that took place all over Europe. And so we have now almost 9,000 activities on this map, all contributing to the objectives of the year. And obviously, youth participation was among the most popular topics. And if we look at the activity map on the youth portal, we see that contrary to what one could expect, many activities took place outside Europe's capitals. So it means that the European Year of Youth managed to kind of reach out and also involve young people, particularly young people living in rural areas and outermost regions. And I would like to invite you to have a look at our page, the European Year of Youth page, and also to see the planned activities. This map will stay open until May 2023, because the year, of course, doesn't end for us. We will continue. We will kind of use this mobilization to further develop specific activities for young people and to see how we can involve them better in EU policy making. Also this year, the Commission kind of presented more than 100 policy initiatives with a focus on youth under the 8 policy areas of the year. And these initiatives are all published on the European Youth Portal with a focus on what's in it for young people, what is relevant for young people in these initiatives, how can they participate. It's not all the initiatives that young people are taking. We focused on the ones that are action-oriented, that are tangible, that focus on concrete benefits for young people, and that were either newly launched in 2023 or with an improved focus because of the year. And these initiatives were identified among the 30 DGs and services which participated in the year, illustrating this cross-sectorial nature. So under the 8 policy areas, just to say the policy areas of the year were education and mobility, youth participation, inclusion and employment, green, digital, culture, health, well-being and sports, and youth and the world. Then in terms of the 2 programs that contributed to the year, these were mainly Erasmus+, the Youth Actions and the European Solidarity Corps, and the main actions were financially reinforced for the European Year of Youth, particularly the youth participation action in Erasmus+ and the solidarity projects, because these are 2 low threshold activities that are used for discussions between policymakers and young people. But we did also a mobilization among other programs and schemes at EU level, and we, in fact, 25 different EU funding programs and schemes identified relevant actions and initiatives call for proposals within their programs. So we can say that youth and youth policies have gained visibility in European agendas and also in national and regional agendas, and that decision makers are now more aware and committed to involve young people in the decision-making process and creating opportunities for them. So, as I mentioned, youth participation is the most popular topic in terms of activities, and we had also issued a flash Eurobarometer on youth and democracy, where it was raised that this was a key expectation of young people. They want, young people want that decision makers listen more to the demands of young people and that they act on them. So at Commission level, we have addressed these concerns, and we have also introduced or looked into new formats for youth participation. Just a few concrete examples is the policy dialogues. This was our flagship initiative under the participation policy area, and it's that each commissioner conducted or will conduct a policy dialogue with young people about their portfolio. And around 15 young people attended this policy dialogue. They came to Brussels. They had a dialogue with the commissioner, but they also participated in information sessions and a visit to Experience Europe. And we had in total 18 policy dialogues, and 8 more are planned. We are always looking, identifying participants for this policy dialogue. So if there's an interest among the young people, please let me know. I can also provide you the topics of these 8 policy dialogues that will take place until end of March 2023. This was very valued by young people because they had a chance to kind of address their concerns about the portfolio of the commissioner. And these conclusions, the takeaways, will be captured in a report we published on the European Youth Portal. And we also look into ways how we can continue this exercise, maybe not only with commissioners, maybe with high-level people within the Commission that could have now and then a policy dialogue with young people. We also launched the Voices platform. It's a digital platform at European level where young people could kind of voice their vision for Europe in a 1-minute message or their ideas and their recommendations of the future. And I would invite you to kind of also visit this platform and for young people interested to register their voice. This platform will also stay open next year, and we will analyze these messages. We will also introduce a kind of feedback loop where we aim that commissioners would listen to these messages and reply back to certain of these messages. Then this year we launched the Youth Talks, where talks from young people in a kind of TED-like style to inspire their peers and to become actors of change. And we have very interesting speakers on intergenerational solidarity, on volunteering, on humanitarian aid, and also a speaker from Ukraine. So this was appreciated a lot by young people, and we kind of published these youth talks on our portal. We also make a video of this as a kind of practice, maybe for decision makers at all levels to see how they could maybe set up these youth talks at their level. And then a key event of the year was the Level Up Accelerating Change Festival. It was organized by the European Youth Forum on the topic of democracy, and they invited more than 1,400 young people to come to Brussels in the Parliament end of October, and to give them the possibility to develop their skills. So it was mainly for youth activists. There were a lot of capacity building sessions, seminars to support them in developing further their skills. And the aim is also to continue this in the future. So to have another such event, not next year, but the year after. So as you can see, a lot has happened during the year of youth, because I didn't mention all the initiatives that took place at member states level, or even the reverse mentoring initiative is one of these key initiatives. So what is next? For us now, the challenge, of course, is to take stock of all these achievements, to gather all this input, and to reflect together on the year's legacy. And yesterday we had the closing conference of the year, but I would not call it a closing conference. It's more Claim the Future. The title was Claim the Future. So it's more future looking to start this process of identifying what now are key legislative initiatives, or what can be further taken forward, because we saw really this increased focus on youth at all levels, and we should use this mobilization to see what can be, or how can we further put youth on the political agenda. And so defining the legacy will then be a joint effort between everyone involved, so we count on all of you. From our side, in the first half of 2023, we will also issue a call for evidence on the Have Your Say portal of the Commission for stakeholders to respond. We will do a survey for young people. We did a survey for young people before we launched the year on their expectations. We will do a survey afterwards to see, okay, how many people were aware of the year, and also to see did they participate in activities? Did it correspond to their expectations? What do they expect now? What should be further developed? So I would say from the side of the Commission, I can assure you that support for youth will remain high on the agenda, and the impact of the year will extend beyond 2023. So I wish you all the best with this meeting. Thank you so much.
Would there be one quick question from the audience here? If not, there will be, of course, time to talk with Karen afterwards as well. So thank you very much, Karen. And now I would like to invite to the stage the Secretary General for Eurocities, Mr. André Sobczak. And he will share how the Eurocities network encourages youth participation in cities. So please, André, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's a pleasure for me also to be here, and thank you for inviting Eurocities to share a little bit about our contribution to it. And thank you mainly for having taken this initiative, but moreover to have also initiated the Young Mentors program at our last General Assembly, which was really a good success. And also at that time I was a member of City Council, and I also had 2 young mentors, and it was also a very inspiring experience, actually something very different and very useful. So Eurocities, which is the network of major European cities, tries to identify what are the different practices happening in our cities about youth participation. And there are a lot of examples, of course, going on, fortunately, and also the initiatives from the Commission have encouraged a lot of cities to do more in this field. So it's also, I think, good partnership between the Commission and Eurocities and the different cities, and to see that on many, many subjects we share similar values and we can actually improve things that are happening on the ground. I think, for example, about Timișoara in Romania, that developed a very interesting initiative where they offered a space that was not used to young people, and the space that was then completely refurbished and used by the young people that developed the governance for it, and that worked then together with other international young people to create activities there. And in the beginning, in this experience, a lot of the neighborhoods were a little bit frightened about what would happen if the young people are governing the space. But after a few weeks, actually, we saw that there were a lot of good connections, and the older people also came there, brought some food, helped also the young people to have a better program there. So it's actually win-win situations, and I think this is also important. The younger generation can actually help the whole society to be more involved in policy making and develop new perspectives. I think also of the city of Braga, for example, that developed a specific strand in their participatory budgets for the younger generation. This is also happening in different cities, and it's very concrete also to encourage the younger generation also to learn how to use money and to use it in an efficient way, and also then, of course, to explain how the money was used afterwards and to make some concrete outcomes of it. And then a lot of cities like Berlin, Warsaw, or Gothenburg that are also trying to develop participatory approaches at the school level. I think this is also important, not only to start at an age where you're maybe 16 or so, but even the younger generations can actually learn what is democracy and what does it really means to be involved in decision making. So as Eurocities, we try to identify these good practices. So if you go to our website, you can find a lot of examples, of course, beyond the ones that we are going to listen to a little bit later. We have also really a database on all participatory initiatives from our cities, and with a specific focus also on the young generations. And we also try to highlight best practices. So maybe you have already heard that we will have our next annual conference here in Brussels from the 12th to the 15th of June. And one of the Eurocities Awards will be dedicated to initiatives from cities that involve actually the younger generations, and in particular how younger generations can use public space and actually make new suggestions for the whole society. So maybe if in your cities you have some good initiatives, you can apply for these awards, and then it's another way of giving more visibility. But we want to do something also more long-term, and I'm really also happy that the mayor of Espoo and the whole team from Espoo has been very much involved, and also have challenged our executive committee to have a more permanent activity about youth participation in our different cities. So we will definitely see how we can react to it, how we can do something about it. One idea is also maybe to get inspired by the Commission. At Eurocities, we now try to have annual priorities. We do a lot of things, and our network works on all the major challenges that cities are facing. But for 2023, for example, we will focus on the energy crisis. But for 2024, it could be an idea actually to focus on children and youth as an activity that would go through all of our activities for the whole year, a little bit like the Year of Youth, in order to see actually how in our forums on social affairs, on ecological transition, on digital, on culture, and so we can have a specific focus on the younger generation. I think it could be a good idea to be discussed, and I think that also it would be very likely with the fact that Ghent, who is also a member of our executive committee, will be the European Capital of Youth in 2024. So there could be a lot of synergies also that we could develop together. And maybe a last point, if you permit myself. I just arrived at Eurocities 3 months ago, and I changed together with my team the governance also inside. And yesterday I presented a new organization, and actually we decided to set up a new generations team inside, so where we also want to involve the younger staff members, the trainees, in the governance actually of our network. So it's also a concrete example inspired from the Young Mentors program, actually to see how in the internal management of our network, because we are now 80 persons, we can actually learn from the younger generations and also show that everybody has to adapt. So very happy again to be here and to be inspired by the other practices, and to have the opportunity also later to discuss it a little bit more with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, André. It's very encouraging to hear what Eurocities is doing. Any questions from the audience now for André or Eurocities? Not at the moment, so we keep the schedule quick to the point. So next, moving from the city, from the European level back to the city level, and hearing local best practices of youth participation. So we will start first in diving deeper into the Future Mentors program. So I will invite Milla Ovaska, Head of International Affairs from the city of Espoo, who will share what the Future Mentors program is and what kind of impact has it had in the participating cities. So welcome to the stage, Milla.
Very nice to be here, and hello also to the online viewers. Future Mentors program was developed within the city organization in Espoo, and I have to say that it has been the greatest and funniest program or project that I've been involved this year. We did it in great cross-sectoral cooperation between youth services, sustainable development, service development, and international affairs. We also were consulted by the Pride students of Aalto University who are studying service design, so they helped us in the process of making this program. And in my presentation, I'm first going to share what is the Future Mentors program, how does it work, and then share a few key learnings of its impact and results. So the Future Mentors program, in a nutshell, it's a reverse mentoring program. So it means that it's not the traditional type of mentoring where the old and experienced, those in power, mentor the young and fresh, but the other way around. So the young people, bright minds who are the experts in being young, they are the mentors in this program. And the key task for the decision makers is to be open for dialogue and listen to the ideas of the future. Why did we decide to make this program? Is to bridge the gap between the youth and the decision makers on local level, and also to create dialogue between them. What are the mentoring sessions about? The mentoring sessions, they are led by the future mentors themselves, and they focus on the themes that the youth finds important. So they are not dictated by the city administration what is on the agenda. It is decided by the youth. So the future mentors, they are given the task to think about the hopes, the dreams, and the fears related to the future of their home city, and discuss this with the mentee, the decision maker in their own city. So the mentoring takes place locally. The young future mentors, they apply for the program on local level, and they work on their ideas. They consult their peers, their networks in the city, and then present these ideas to the decision maker in mentoring sessions. And who helps? Well, we have a very detailed instructions for running this program on local level. We have a Future Mentors manual and a step-by-step guide, which are designed by the city of Espoo. And like mentioned by the mayor, any organization is very welcome to use these materials. It's a ready-made program for any organization that wishes to create dialogue between decision makers and the youth. few numbers from the first round. So we developed this program for this year's Eurocities annual event because we wanted to have an element of youth participation in the event and also inspire and encourage other European cities to try this kind of an instrument of dialogue. So we had 26 cities around Europe participate in the program with the decision makers and their city coordinators, and in total 94 mentors, 94 young mentors around Europe who were then mentoring the decision makers locally. And I'm going to share the dreams of the future mentors. We collected these from the local discussions and made a word cloud of the dreams of the future mentors. And these dreams, they were presented and discussed in Espoo's Eurocities annual conference with the mayor and European leaders. As you can see, especially participation and mobility, like cycling, walkability, public transportation, climate and nature are the themes that were really popping up in these mentoring discussions on local level around Europe. Then a few words about the fears. So these were also likewise discussed in the annual conference in Espoo, collected from the local mentoring sessions. What we see here as the biggest themes are especially climate crisis and pollution, inequality, unemployment and poverty, lack of safety nets, and also rise of extremism that were themes that the young people brought up in local conversations with the decision makers. So the program, the mentoring took place on local level, and then each city could send one of their future mentors to Espoo to take part in this high-level conference. And the future mentors in the conference, in the Eurocities conference in Espoo, they were given a task to write recommendations on how to involve youth on the local level decision making. And this is the list of recommendations that they came up with in the conference. Very good list of recommendations, in my opinion. I am hoping that each city will study these very carefully. And I was also very happy to see last week when the Committee of the Regions and the European Youth Forum in collaboration wrote or published the Charter for Youth and Democracy, where they were also giving recommendations for local level youth participation. Many of these recommendations by our future mentors were also reflected in those recommendations by the Committee of the Region. Then a few words about the results and the impact. In the feedback form, the mentors, the young mentors and the mentees were asked how satisfied were they with the program. And we are very happy with these numbers. They were very happy with the program. So on the scale 1 to 5, both groups gave more than 4 as the average note. And they also thought that this kind of a program is a good addition to the toolkit of youth participation methods. I also have here a few comments from the future mentors themselves, what they thought about the program. They said that the dialogue between city administration and young people is sometimes very hard, if not impossible. And this program has proven to be a very good chance and a needed chance to promote this dialogue. And that this program also brings an opportunity for young generations to get into the dialogue with the decision makers in decisions that affect their futures and their lives. The third quote that I have here also points to the fact that the situation around Europe is very different. The cities and their participation mechanisms for youth involvement are very different. And in this group of 26 cities, there were some cities that had very advanced and very good practices already existing for for youth participation. And then these future mentors were giving ideas and maybe mentoring to other members of the group, sharing their experiences that they already had on the local level. Then a few comments from the mentored decision makers, which were also very positive. They said that the idea of setting up a dialogue between city representatives and the youth is a very effective way to give a voice in the decision-making process, and that the dialogue was very positive and respectful. This was repeated many times. We were also given examples of how the issues that were raised by the future mentors, how were they then dealt with at the city level and city administration. And in this last quote, I'm very happy to see how thoroughly the city administration and management then went through all the suggestions by the youth, and how they also changed their practices after hearing the recommendations of the future mentors on youth involvement. This is my last slide about the impact of the program. So far, that we know that the Future Mentors program has led, for example, to an establishment of a meeting place for youth and decision makers, establishment of a youth council, and planning of youth cooperation in Baltic Sea region. The group of future mentors, they are still in contact regularly. Once a month, they meet online to share their initiatives on local level, to learn from each other, and to see how their initiatives and ideas are progressing in the city administration. They, of course, this peer network that they have formed is also a very good place to share frustrations when things are not going forward, and share different strategies on how to make your voice heard on the local level. And all this has happened without any support from us or from Eurocities or any European structures. So this is the peer network that I'm very, very happy that is still going very strong. 93% of the participating cities that were taking part in this Future Mentors program, they would like to collaborate within Eurocities on youth participation. And I was very happy to hear, André, what your plans for youth participation within Eurocities are. We are in Espoo also very happy to take part and contribute to them. Then I would also like to mention that the Finnish National Education Agency, they were selecting the best youth participation practices of European Year of Youth in 22 in Finland. And this Future Mentors program was selected to the finals. And in January, we will know then who will win the Finnish best practice for youth participation. But in the feedback that we got from the National Education Agency, they said, or they praised the Future Mentors program for the innovative reverse mentoring and for its easy usability in any city, and for the fact that the themes that the youth can propose in the decision makers, they are not limited by the city organization. They are not limited to education and youth participation, for example, but they can take any kinds of themes they wish to discuss with the decision makers. So we are hoping that we will win this award in Finland. Let's see. Like mentioned, all material needed for running this program is freely available and ready to be used in Espoo's webpage. It's a very lengthy link, but there's a QR code also in the slide where you can find a link directly to all the programs. We are very, very happy if more cities get excited by this instrument and use it on their local level. Good. Thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you so much, Milla, sharing the best practices on the Future Mentors program. Any questions to Milla at the moment or in the networking? Okay, run.
Yeah, well.
Wait. So that the online viewers also hear. Let's hear your question.
Well, first of all, yeah, thanks a lot for designing the program. I sincerely hope you win the award in January, and I think I will speak on behalf of all the future mentors. I have one question. if you would extend the Future Mentor program or redesign it, what would you have done or do differently?
We would start earlier. This year, the schedule was very hurried, and that's why I think only 26 cities were able to join the program. But now that we don't have that push of Eurocities annual conference coming, like in next summer, then it's up to the cities how they design the schedule for this program. So in our version in spring, the schedule was a bit too tight.
Thank you. Excellent question. But deadline is also good news. Another question here from Karen.
No, I was just wondering, because you mentioned a national agency, did you get any funding from Erasmus Plus for this program? Yes, it was all done by the city of Espoo and by our colleagues.
Thank you, Milla, and thank you for good questions. So let's now turn our focus to a city very close to Brussels, Ghent, who has also been participating actively in the Future Mentors program. But Ghent is also the European Youth Capital in 2024 and very active in providing opportunities for the young people. So I'll invite here Lien and Jente. The floor is yours.
Secretary General of the... I'll get started by introducing Ghent just a little bit, talking about our goals that we have set for ourselves, and a bit about our project structure, and then I'll be handing off the microphone to my colleague Lien, who will be introducing a bit of our other participatory programs in the city. Now, Ghent has been elected European Capital of Youth for 2024. This is an award awarded by the European Youth Forum, and it allows us to set up certain programs and focus on certain projects that are already happening in the city. Ghent is quite a unique city. We're not that big, but we have a very large number of youth and students. We can show it here. We have about 120,000 young people and students. And through very thorough survey, we have let them guide the project from the very start. We have allowed them to set up new goals, which I'll be elaborating on now. The first of which was engagement. We want young people to play a very active role in society. We want them to be active citizens, and we want to get them involved in volunteer work. Ghent has over 170 youth organizations at this very point, and we have thousands of volunteers in our city. What we want to do with European Youth Capital is that we don't want to create projects of our own. Well, we will, but not only this, but we also want to work as sort of like a loudspeaker. We want to get those projects that are already existing onto a larger stage. That we think is very important. And all of the young people that want to get involved, that have ideas, but that are not engaged in youth organizations, we want them to get their voices heard. This is what we mean by engagement. And not coincidentally, this is also one of the European Youth Strategy goals itself, which we think is quite interesting because we have surveyed this, as I said, with our young people, and it's just a parallel thought. It's seemingly very interesting. Second goal is empowerment. We want every young person in our city to be a youth creator. We are already doing this through allowing young people access to funding, to public spaces where they can exert their influence, where they can set up their projects, and we give them access to our network. The European Youth Capital is a small team within the youth service of the city of Ghent. We are not a separate NGO, we are part of the city administration, which I'll get back to later on. The third strategy, which is the only one not linked to the European Youth Goals, but we saw it's very important, is we care. We want young people to lead happy lives in healthy cities, green cities, and sustainable cities. We want to give young people access to mental health support. We want young people to be surrounded by greenery and to live in a city that is safe for everyone. And we want to do this through co-creation. And I think this leads me to the next part, which is our project structure. This is quite the dense image, but I'll try my best to guide you through the most important parts. Right now, we have set up an open call for young people to get involved in European Youth Capital. We have allowed them to fill in a form at this point, which is very low threshold. We are asking very little of these people so that we can get them in our program, and we are allowing them to choose how much they want to be involved in the projects. Some people want to be are doers, some people are makers, some people are dreamers, and we are allowing all these different voices to be heard as they should be. On a very practical level, young people are getting involved in our different working groups. These working groups are working on different projects that align with our goals, with engage, empower, and care. Whether it be events, our opening event for Youth Capital, closing events, certain street festivals, voting right for 16-year-olds, which my colleague will elaborate on later on, arts and culture, but also use of public space. In Ghent, we have set up a few places where young people can either temporarily or permanently influence how the city is shaped for the future. This is also one way that we want to make our projects more sustainable after 2024, which I think is for this meeting here. And again, the care projects, well-being, we want young people to be very actively involved in how we make our city safer. These people will be meeting every month on a very low level, very informal meeting where they can discuss, where they can influence, where they can make decisions. That then will be brought to our core group. This core group here at the top, we call it the 20 of 24, are 20 young people who will convene every 3 months, and they will discuss all the projects that are happening and whether or not they are aligned with the goals that we have set out. Again, through surveying, we have set out 19 different goals that we want to achieve. It's a very long list, and I'm not going to bother all of you with details. But what is very important is that this council makes all the decisions and they control the projects. We have a political feedback group, as you can see on the left, but this feedback group, their only power is a veto right. They have no say in what actually happens. They just say, we cannot allow this to happen, but that is all that they can do. The power is in the hands of young people. Then we also have a media team, so young people are in charge of our communications and of how we set ourselves up to the public. And then we have our project team, which is a few civil servants, such as myself and my colleague, who we function as hatches. We give the ideas from the working groups to the core group and back again. That is most of what we do, and I think that is why it's most important about our work. Now I'll be handing off the word to my colleague. Thank you very much for your attention.
In Lien, and I also work at the Youth Service of Ghent. 2024 is it's a special election year in Belgium and also in Ghent. Elections will be organized at the European level, but also at Flemish, federal, local and provincial level. And there are also a number of novelties, like young people from the age of 16 years will get a chance to vote for the European elections, and you will be no longer obliged to elect for the local level. So the city of Ghent, we want to inform those first voters, that young people from 16 to 18 years old, we want to inform them, stimulate them, engage in debate and activate young people. And we also want to get them think critically about the elections and about democracy. And we want to do this on the basis of 3 projects. The first is the Great Debate. This was already organized in Antwerp a few years ago. And the objectives are that we want to inform those first voters about voting rights, democracy and citizenship. We also want to bring young people in contact with policymakers. And we want to inform those policymakers what keeps young people awake. And we want to do this by working with 30 different classes in Ghent. Like the diversity is very important for us. We also want to organize a huge speed debate in the center of Ghent with 1,000 young people. And we want to finish with a political debate in the Vooruit, where young people take the floor. And we do this with a couple of cultural organizations in Ghent, like LAF, Vooruit and Bondarenko, but also with the Youth Council. This project starts in September next year and ends in April 2024, when the European elections will also be held. The second project is a project about the vote 16+, and we want to inform again those young people, the first voters, but we also want to encourage them to go to the European elections. And we want to do this on the basis of an information campaign together with the Youth Council and with the Civil Affairs Department. And the third project we want to do is a project with the Ghent Youth Council. The Youth Council, I think it's a bit the same of Espoo. It's the city's official advisory board to give advice on all matters that concern young people. And they also have a tradition to organize a local debate in the run-up of the local elections. So in 2024, they will also organize a local debate, but they will also listen to all the ideas of young people as an advice for the new local political administration. So this is what we want to do in 2024.
Again, I'd like to thank all for your attention, but I'd like to close off with a short remark to our end of this presentation. We'd like to affirm our belief in the European Youth, as we think it has really confirmed the importance of youth participation in all of our cities. In our own projects, we're already implementing some of these strategies, as I hope we've shown. But moving forward, we think it important to see these youth goals reaffirmed through concrete initiatives and possibly funding by Eurocities and the European Commission, so that the voices of young people continue to be heard as strongly as they have been this year. Thank you.
Thank you for you're really setting a great example for Europe in the way that you are having the youth to participate. Are there any immediate questions from the audience? One back there.
Thank you very much. To hear what you plan to do and everything. I have a question regarding inclusion. How do you plan to involve young people with fewer opportunities and ensure that all the events are not just for the most resourceful young people, which we see often, for example, also in the Erasmus Plus program?
Good question.
For our core group, for example, we have set up very strong process so that the people represented in those groups are from very diverse backgrounds and not just white middle class people, but people from all walks of life will be represented in this group. That's just one example, but we will make sure that inclusion is at the very center of our beliefs in every project that we do.
Maybe in addition to that, for the projects about elections, we really are working together with a lot of classes in Ghent. Like most young people go to school, and that's a bit of a guarantee for diversity. But also want to focus on special groups that are combining work with school. So that are our efforts to that.
Thank you. We will discuss this, I guess, in the panel as well, because it's a very important question. How do we involve everybody? How do we include? Thank you, Lien and Jente. So let's. Well, next we will look at the city in Netherlands, Eindhoven, who has been very active also in the youth participation and in involving the young people in building the city. And we are very happy to hear that you are also about to start the next version or next edition of the Future Mentors program locally. So we will be now hearing a greeting from Olha Bondarenko, who's unfortunately not able to join us here live, but we will hear a greeting from Olga online. So please go ahead.
Engagement as the municipality of Eindhoven. I'm sorry I cannot be physically present and talk to you today. It happens sometimes, so I went over my ankle during the weekend. That's what happens when you think that you are young and you go down so night on the high heels. Nevertheless, I wanted to talk to you and use this opportunity to tell you what we are doing about the engagement of young people in Eindhoven and why we find this important. Myself, I came to Eindhoven when I was young. It was more than 20 years ago. And I was not very impressed. Actually, I remember when I exited the station and I was looking at the city, I found it very, very boring. And I was for a moment thinking maybe I should go live elsewhere and abandon Eindhoven. I'm very happy I didn't do this, because what I didn't know back then was how the city is able to change, how it's able to innovate, and how it is able to shape its own future. We can do this because we are working in cooperation between the government, with our technical university and other academic institutions, and also with our business community, which consists of a lot of innovative companies. And because of this cooperation, the city is growing very, very rapidly. So in the middle, you see the recent picture of the city, and on the left side, you see how the city will look in 2040. We will build more than 40,000 households, and in a lot of these households, young people will be living. These are young people who come here to study or to work. And this is why we find it very important to engage them and to involve them into the development of the city. It's very nice how the city will look in the future, and of course we want to see how the young people see it. This is why our government is taking it very seriously. So actually our politicians established two special bodies. This is a youth council that you see on the left and the youth advisory board that you see on the right. And they are advising the council the politics about important questions. So actually, coincidentally today, as I'm recording this video, they will be giving an advice to the city council about our poverty policies. So we're taking it very seriously. We also know that young people don't really appreciate attending boring meetings and talk to about boring questions. So we're trying to engage them in a lot of innovative ways to make fun with them. And what you see on the picture is a small project that we did in a neighborhood where a lot of young people live. And we were using a game, a dice game, in order to attract them and to talk to them. They really appreciated this, and actually one of the results of this project is that the youth football team got a special budget for developing the youth activities and the sport in this area. Another example is how we talk to the young people about the serious matters. So this was a formal festival. It's a festival format. The format is a sphere of missing out. And it was used by our social services to discuss how the young people develop and what they need for their development, what they need for attending schools, and what they require in their neighborhood in order to help them. The same team in our social policy department, which is also themselves very young, recently organized a big meeting. There were about 70 professionals, so the people from social services themselves, from voluntary organizations. They were all very young, and they were discussing how they engage people in their activities. So one trick that I learned from them is that you have to use young people in order to engage young people, which is of course very logical. Yet another example is how we developed Central Square. It's a square in front of our government building. And we used a lot of different techniques. So we interviewed the urban sporters of the square, we used a Lego game, we used Instagram polls, and we did all that to understand how the square will be looking for them. So what do they want to see on it? It was actually very successful because we discovered that young people, for example, don't mind living in high and tall buildings, which was quite the opposition from other people who are living around the square, and had a lot of impact in how the square will look in the future. Another example, which is not only young people, these were students from the University of Utrecht that developed for us a card game, and we used it in the area outskirts of the city, Herentwaardbroek, to talk to the residents of that area what the city growth means for the area itself. And they tested it in a local community building with a group of elderly. As you see, they had a lot of fun, and we're going to use it also in the future to talk to the residents about the neighborhood, about the growth of the city. This is the last example, and this is an example of using technologies, because we are using virtual reality really quite often. And this is a very special project. It was used for reducing polarization and bringing people with very different opinions closer together. It was also one of the neighborhoods where young people were causing trouble, which can happen, and where some people were complaining about it. So with using virtual reality, we gave these people insight into each other's situation. It was filmed. And then they actually started working together on developing the area together, so that they're not causing so much trouble anymore. And they actually became friends thanks to this project. I could actually talk about it for hours, but unfortunately I don't have so much time. What I would like to say is that these are not separate projects, which is just a coincidence, but we are really engaging young people on a systematic basis. It is in our coalition agreement, and we're certainly going to do it in the future, in the coming years. The last example that I wanted to make you, it is a car. You might be thinking, why is she showing us a car? It's actually a very special car because it is the first car that is going on solar energy. And it is being produced in Finland as we speak. And the reason I wanted to show it to you is because these are the guys who are behind it. This is the team who made it. These are students from our University of Technology. And they were making the solar car just, prototype to win some races. And then they had a dream to develop it into production. And I read an article about it during the weekend in one of our newspapers. And actually what really impressed me is that while they were doing it, making this car into production, they were told not to do it by everybody. Because, it's technically impossible, it cannot be done, it's very difficult. And because they're so young, they didn't care about anybody's advice, and they just went and do it. So, of course, these guys, amongst others, are the guys for whom we are developing the city and for whom we want to grow together with them. However, when I was reading this article, I was thinking about something else. I actually remembered how it is to be young. Because when I came to Eindhoven, I was young and everything was possible for me. I didn't see any obstacles, I saw only opportunities, and I was quite sure that I could make the world better. And I think this is truly the reason that we need young people around us and amongst us. It is to develop us, to remind us that we can make our dream true and that we can make a better future together. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope I will have an opportunity to talk to you again very soon.
Although we not hear our applause, but I hope that the colleagues will convey them to her and a quick recovery for her as well. We've heard really great examples of practical examples of how to involve youth in the cities. But there's an important principle of the youth policy is nothing about us without us. So in order for us to discuss a little bit deeper, what does it mean to involve the youth in building a city and how to build a future-proof city from the youth point of view, I'm inviting 3 young mentors from the city of Espoo, Eindhoven and Ghent to the stage to join me in a panel. So please, Maite, Bram and Via, the stage is yours. Share the microphone with me. I'll sit here. Let's not fall off the stage as we're told. So let's start. Good to see you again, all of you. I remember last time you were dancing on the riverbank, on the seashore, but no ankles broken that time. It's been like 5 months since the conference in Espoo. Could you first share, to start with, your experience with the future mentors and what has happened after the June conference? So maybe Bram, you start.
Yeah, well, first of all, I would like to thank the city of Espoo and all the architects behind the Future Mentor program. I think you did an excellent job in involving young people into policy making without politics. Because for me and for my fellow future mentors, that was the real magic behind this program. So yeah, what happened afterwards? So now we are extending the program, which you already explained. So we are with 7 future mentors now, and we started with 4. So yeah, it's growing and growing. And besides that, we are trying to meet up every month as well with all the future members that were there in Espoo. So I hope it will continue.
That sounds really good. So Pia, how about you?
Well, in Espoo, obviously we're in a planning stage of starting a new Future Mentors program that's specifically a bit smaller scale with the youth council. But as I said, that's just in the planning stages. But for me, the Eurocities conference definitely opened up so many doors of youth participation on the EU level as well. I mean, we're all here, so it was a great experience.
And Mike.
Everybody, so I'm Jente from Ghent, and in Ghent we had a really nice contact with the mayor. So we try to really also do it in the future. So we are trying to have monthly, few months in contact with the mayor. And also when you are discussing with him, we noted that it was really important that you also meet all the young people. So not only the future mentors, like me, I'm from the Youth Council in Ghent, but also the other people. So that's why we're going to do an event in March where the mayor will come, but also all of the young people are invited. And we are going to ask him some tricky questions where he needs to give us an answer to, we have the European Youth Capital, how is he going to do that? How is he going to involve everyone and stuff like that? So we really try to keep in contact, but also we did a survey before we went to Espoo, and we had a lot of topics that are interested. And we try to also use that topics in European Youth Capital, but also with the mayor, we're going to keep the topics that are important, like high end, so that you notice that you really need to work on it.
Thank you. And I'm sure you all learned a lot also personally from this year. But you already asked the question, the top one, how to include everybody. And how to include those who are not active already and active in other forms of life as well. So how would you see it? I'm sure that you have discussed among yourselves and among the youth councils or organizations that you have in your cities, how to involve the ones who are not active, other youth.
Maybe start. So also when I was in Espoo, I noticed that a lot of cities don't have a youth council or anything like a youth council. And I think that is maybe a good way to start to involve a lot of people and a lot of young people. And I'm glad to notice that after Espoo, I had a few mails of other future mentors who asked me, can you give me some information about Youth Council in Ghent? Because you are doing a really good job. We want to convince our government to also make a youth council. So I think a youth council is a good start, but it's also very high for most of the young people. So next to that, I think it's important with participation to keep in contact with the networks that you already have. You don't have to begin something totally new with youth participation, but go to the networks that you have and go to the youth networks. They are in contact with young people who are hard to get in contact with. So don't invent something new, but try to go to those people and that way keep in contact with the young people and do participation.
That's a good advice of not always having to start from afresh, but strengthening the existing structures. What about Fia?
In Espoo, we have a very different situation. We have a very functioning youth council and we have regular meetings every month and sometimes twice a month. But I think in Espoo, the next step is using more technology to our advantage. We found, at least with our youth council, that everyone in the youth council is very aware of what's happening with people outside. Even if we have an Instagram account or something like that, not everyone knows what the youth council does. And every time someone says, oh, wow, you're in the youth council, what do you guys actually do? I think we need to be able to communicate it much better to the young people, not just the people in the city council or wherever. So that's definitely something.
Yeah, well, I can only have a small addition to these points. I think if you want to include everyone, so also the less resourceful, that's a nice word. So what you typically see in youth councils is that also the more resourceful people, the well-spoken people are participating or have time to be in a youth council. So typically, I think the Future Mentor program is an excellent example of including everyone. And what we saw is that the threshold for politics for young people is very high normally. So if you should not meet at the town hall, for example, all dressed up in suits. So what we did with our mayor, we kidnapped him from his town hall, from his meetings. We took him out of his daily job and exposed him to parts of the city that he normally wouldn't see on a daily basis. And in the end, that turned out to be very fruitful meetings where also young, less resourceful people were able and confident enough to show and tell their dreams and fears.
Thank you for those perspectives. And to talk about dreams and fears, we are living in a very insecure time in Europe. So let's talk about a little bit more on the fears and dreams. And we saw just that word clouds here. But if taking it to a little bit more higher level, so what would you see are the most challenging or the largest challenges for your generation and the largest concerns for you at the moment and your generation?
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the world is shaking beneath our feet at the moment. And what we see in the Netherlands, I think it's also similar for other countries, there's a lot of polarization, social media, but also in cities. So what we looked into in Eindhoven is also to have a more inclusive city. And specifically, we looked into a more inclusive nightlife scene. So what we did is we used the Future Mentor network that was created by the city of Espoo to visit Berlin. Because what city to learn better from when it comes to inclusive nightlife than going to Berlin? So we bought 4 Flixbus tickets and we went to Berlin to learn how they did this. And we found out due to the Future Mentors in Berlin, they have this not a nightlife lobby, but a nightlife advocacy kind of organization, which is the switch between politics and club owners or people organizing cultural events. So these are things that we took back to our city to improve the inclusivity.
I think personally, what I've noticed is a lot that building on your point, but the polarization of youth. So there's definitely people who don't want to be on a very high level participating. And I think that's a really big issue, is that these people might stay at home, they might have really good ideas, but they don't want to come out of their house, they'd be in this big meeting. So there might be people who want to just change something about their school or something very low threshold, but they're not able to do this because the current threshold is quite high. In Espoo, if you want to be in the youth council, you have to put yourself out there. You get a picture taken of you, which gets put on all the library walls on a big poster, and it's quite a high threshold for someone who is not as confident as, say, people here.
We have 2 things in mind, and was also shown in the survey that we did, and we heard a lot of the young people, and that is in Ghent, housing markets is a big problem. I think also in the Netherlands, if I'm correct, not only for young adults, but also for young people who want to go to university. They can't find a house, they can't pay for a house. So that I think is a big problem. And next to that is the gap between rich and poor. You see that it is getting bigger and bigger. So I think that are the 2 main things in Ghent that we really need to work
Thank you. They are big concerns and big things that we need to work on. If you could decide, or if you could give, we've heard some examples from the cities, but if you could give one example that works for the youth in your city, something that's really good, but something that also needs to be fixed. So what would be those? Something to be fixed and something that's already there that we can.
I will begin with a good thing. The good thing in Ghent is that we are a green city. So green in all levels. So really green, like you see a lot of trees and plants and stuff like that. But also we try to be green in the things that we do, like we reusable bottles and stuff like that. So that we are good in. And the thing that could be fixed is maybe the public transports. It's really expensive, and we hear a lot of young people that they see it as freedom. If it's like cheaper, they can go out more because it's like a way to freedom. And now in Ghent, it's really too expensive to use the public transports.
Thanks.
In Espoo, we just got a new metro line that has extended public transport. So my good point was that Espoo is very accessible, even though public transport might take quite a while. Espoo is a big city, but at least there's very concrete steps being taken to try and improve the metro line. It's very accessible. It's relatively cheap for students as well. Something that could be fixed, that at least in our discussions with Jukka, we found that in many places Espoo isn't as much of a walking city as the youth would like it. So even though there's good public transport, there are places where it would be nicer to be able to walk around, and because there's a lot of snow in the winter, these places aren't as accessible to everyone who might not be able to afford public transport, who have a bike or who walk. So this is something that could be made better.
Well, regarding public transportation, we do everything by bicycle. Could be a low-hanging fruit solution. No, one thing that's going very well in Eindhoven is that we have an organization that decides upon which youth activity gets funding, and it's also run by students. So in the end, if you want to organize an event in the city or something else, you can apply for funding, and then your fellow students are deciding upon the funding. And there are some people that have like a ceremonial role in this, of course, to get the signature. But yeah, it's your fellow student who is deciding upon this. One thing that can be improved is that Eindhoven wants to become a more student city. I think we heard an excellent example of Ghent, who is very much a student city. So we're actually planning a visit also to Ghent to learn about how do you make your city attractive as a student city. Eindhoven is a very high-tech city with a high-tech industry, also a technical university. And that's also something that you see when you look for the cultural activities in the city that can be improved. As you could see, we are very much using this European network. So we visited Berlin, we're going to visit Ghent, and I really hope that also next year, the extended version of the Future Mentor program, even maybe Eurocities can play a role maintaining this European network for young people.
Thank you. That's some very good ideas. That's what I think the decision makers here heard. Are there any questions from the audience for our youth here on the stage? Maybe from the commission, something? Oh, Jukka.
What are the most difficult things you have in these programs?
So if I understand your question correctly, the most difficult thing we experienced during this program. Well, I agree that the timeline was a bit short in the beginning, but I think in the end that went well. They're not popping up any things directly.
I personally didn't experience this, but from what I heard from our fellow future mentors, there were some decision makers who weren't as willing to listen to the ideas of the youth and very quickly dismissed these. So maybe it's not directly an issue of the program necessarily, but it's an issue that some future mentors came across.
Yes, it's not always maybe easy to hear things that you don't want to hear. Anything else, Mike?
I think what she said is true. We heard a lot, and also that the young mentors were afraid to say something in Espoo because they were granted the chance to be there, but they can't speak freely because then it's not nice to their city. So we noticed that really a difference between every city, how everyone worked on the program and how involved they really were in the program. But I don't know a solution how to fix it.
But I think it's an important thing, and you are setting an example. And I think the more cities see how this works and how this helps the mayors and the decision makers, and I think both the Commission and Eurocities and all the cities present here and online can sort of take the examples further. So now you have the opportunity also to maybe give some regards from, or some wishes from yourself and from the youth that you represent to Commission and to the Eurocities. So what would your wish be?
Well, I already thought that this European network for us is the real magic behind this program. So you see a lot of cities that found solutions for problems that you might be struggling with in the city. So in terms of don't reinvent the wheel, I think it's very important to take other cities as an example. So a specific wish could be for future mentors to have some kind of, 3 travels per year to other cities to make sure this European network is also physically maintained. I think this, while seeing each other in person in Espoo, was very valuable. We were still in touch and we're learning from each other. So a specific wish, is definitely to also being able to travel to other cities and making sure we can get each other up to date.
Yeah, maybe to expand on that as well, I think it's very valuable that other people would also be able to get the same opportunities that all of us have had. So at least I'm bringing forward my experiences and thoughts of this whole experience to my youth council, and then we're working on a new kind of future mentors concept so that more people could have access to like EU level youth participation.
I think my wish would be to have a little bit more, like now we're doing future mentors, we meet like monthly. But I think it would be better if we have like someone who guides us more in the process. So someone really does work and can help us like set meetings and stuff like that. So it could be a little bit more structured. I think that would be my wish.
That's a very concrete wish, and wink, wink. Right. Any questions more from the audience? Anything online, Annika? No. But then I have one final question. We talked about fears and concerns, but how about your dreams? So Maise, what's your big dream?
My big dream is that we reach a lot of people at 2024 when we are a European youth capital, that we can really involve a lot of young people and also they get to know the youth council a bit more. So we can also be more diverse in the youth council, so we can really participate more at all levels.
I think my dream is that this continues forward, that this doesn't just stop here. I mean, Ghent is already a continuation in some way, but I hope that this isn't just the end because it's the end of the year.
I stated in the beginning, I think the architects behind this program did an excellent job. I think you created a framework for young people such that they can participate in policy without politics. And I think the politics is a very high threshold for young people. So my dream is that this program will continue, hopefully extended. In Eindhoven, we're looking at maybe also assigning a future mentor to the CEO of a high-tech company because they can use one as well. So that could be a possible extension. So that would be my dream for the short term.
Thank you. Excellent dreams. Maybe you stay here for a while because now we are wrapping this session up. Thank you so much for everybody participating both online and here. Thank you, Ghent and Eindhoven, also joining us here live with Espoo. And we are here in the hall looking at the little lunch buffet that we have here. And we will be enjoying that. And I'm already saying excuses for the Espoo team, who is eager to go to the European Innovation Summit to hear the results from the iCapital Awards, whether we are bronze, silver or gold this year. So maybe you have the European Year of the Youth, or the Youth Capital, but maybe Espoo is the Innovation Capital of Europe. So thank you everybody very much for preparation. Thank you for the Helsinki EU office and the whole team for participating. And thank you also online and to our future mentors, a big applause.